Welcome to Fuzzybutts and Friends. Well, this is a special edition of Fuzzybutts and Friends because this episode is all about Hudson. As some of our audience may know, your big dog has been preparing for and should already be on Walk 3. Last year, September 4th, I lost my third dog, Hudson, to metastatic mast cell cancer. And September 4th this year, I was supposed to begin a 300-mile walk along the Hudson River with my three-legged dog, Grayson. But week or so prior to the launch, Grayson got sidelined because of a medical issue. His heartworm condition just wasn't at a point that we felt like it was going to be safe enough for him to get on the road. His echocardiogram, the results were not were disturbing. And so we just kind of felt like the safest recourse was just to sideline him. And so for the past 3 weeks, rather than being on the road and on Walk 3, I've been trying to find a way to save it all. When we finally have something, we've got a wagon. Grayson has a special wagon. So this Wednesday, September 28th, so one day after this episode airs, Walk 3 will begin. Ginger, can you believe it?
I cannot believe it. And I am here with Indiana. If you hear heavy breathing, it's Indy.
There's Mr. Nanner Bananer. Yeah, I didn't even introduce you. There's Indiana Jones. That's Fuzzybutt number 4, everybody. I'm here with Fuzzybutt number 5 right here. Gray. He's hiding. He's snuggling right here in my lap. But this is all about Fuzzybutts, this special episode, the special edition of Fuzzybutts and Friends. So we want to talk about Hudson, what he meant in my life, and his cancer in dogs, Walk 3, and the work that we'll be doing with Hudson's Hope. All of it done in honor and memory of Hudson and his battle with cancer. So, Ginger, I just have notes here. For those of you watching this on the YouTube channel, as you can see, I'm not in Fuzzybutt Studios. I'm at Base Camp, Cambridge, New York. Wonderful family up here has loaned us this trailer. So this is the mobile edition of Fuzzybutt Studios. This is Fuzzybutt Studios on the road. This is what it looks like. I took a picture earlier, Ginger, and put it up on Twitter. And was like, yeah, that's something else. That's that mobile studio you have there. But hopefully, guys, there in the audience, you guys can see everything. It looks okay. It sounds okay. Ginger, does it sound okay when you're in?
Yeah, it sounds okay. You look a little dark, but
it's the best lighting I have. I've got all the lights in this little trailer lit up, and this is the best that I can do. So let's start out. Like I said, I don't really have. I just want to start off about Hudson, about who he was in my life, and what he meant to me, and so I guess Hudson. I got him when he was, I think he was 6 weeks old. He was just a wee lad. I rescued him from Waco, Texas, and it's kind of a horrible situation out there. And I just lost Malcolm 6 months earlier. So it was me and Murphy. We were all alone in Texas, and I picked up Hudson, and I brought him home, and that forever changed my life.
Hudson was definitely life-changing for sure.
He was. I have pictures that I want to bring up, Ginger, but I'm limited to the pictures I have here on my laptop, not there I have in this the Fuzzybutt Studios. So do you have and I'm going to be pulling them up as I talk about some of the stories. Do you have pictures of the pictures of Hudson as a wee lad, a little baby? I think you had them.
I do. I'm going to have to look. So
okay, why don't you do that while I continue the story about Hudson.
Okay, I will look because I have them. I know that they're right here on my computer. I just have to make sure that I've got them right where I can find them. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, I've got them.
Good. Can you go ahead and bring that up, or do I have to allow you to do that?
I don't know. Let me see.
Share
here.
screen.
Let's see.
You should be able to do it.
Host disabled. You have to enable it. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, let me do that. Here we go. Multiple. There we go. You should be able to do it now.
Okay,
You know,
let's
I'm just, this is so organic. I'm just gonna freestyle riff this whole episode. But I've got, if you're watching this on YouTube channel,
okay, can you see it now, Luke?
no, I can't. That didn't come up. But if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I've got Grayson on my left arm, and as I'm trying to focus on this episode, he's doing the peer. He's doing the peer nose. He's flipping his nose at there. Yep, he's being a Pyrenees, true to his breed. I'm not seeing it, Ginger. Is it not?
Hold on.
There,
Okay,
I
can
see
you see it
something.
now?
Your
It says
screen, your screen is blank.
you don't see.
There it is, right there. There it is. Okay, there it is.
Okay.
Okay, there is Hudson. Wow, wow, thanks. That's a great photo right there. That was us training for Walk 1. That was in Zion Park in Temple, Texas. So Hudson was not, let's see, that was when we started on the walk, that was
It was just a year, maybe.
correct. Yeah, when we got on the road in 2008, when we left Austin, Texas, Hudson was just 1 year old. He was not even 2, so he did not have a backpack on him. So we did not train with a backpack. Murphy had to do all the work. Now go down to the other photos, Ginger. I saw there on the bottom of your screen. You had a picture of one of the first pictures I took when he was all of 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I see you have Murphy.
You know,
You have Murphy on your end. Doing the pure nose thing, the pure snout thing.
okay, can you see? Can
No,
you see the picture now?
No, you had it up a minute ago. It was on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, I brought it up. What are you seeing now?
Can you just forward the photos? Advance or?
No, because there are other things on there, but let's see.
Can you just find the photo when he was just a little?
Yeah,
Sorry
hold
about
on.
this.
Let me stop the sharing and then go back and share it again because I think that was the.
Sorry about this, guys. This is we had intended on doing this some weeks ago, prior to walk 3, and we had everything set up, but it's been just a grueling 3 weeks of trying. There it is, down. There it is, right there. That's it. Look at that. God, he was. Look at that photo. He was such a wee little lad. He was like a little kid.
Yeah,
he was a kidney bean.
When I found these, when I came across these the other day, it was like, oh my gosh, but you can see it. I mean, in his face, he looked just like grown Hudson, you know?
Well, what I love about this photo is his personality shines through.
Exactly. Yep.
You could see his determinedness. You could see that his life was, his world was all going to be about Hudson. And that, if I had to, Ginger, if I had to have one statement that characterized Hudson the best, the one thing that I think that would describe Hudson the best is that Hudson lived the world according to Hudson. And so everything in Hudson's life was somehow directly or indirectly all about Hudson. Would you agree with that?
Hudson. Oh yeah, I wrote something, I think it was in the calendar last year that, you know, it was Hudson's world and he just let me live in it. You know,
Absolutely.
It was, everything was about Hudson.
You have some more photographs down there.
I do. Let me see if I can find them because I'm obviously. Can you see that one?
No, the same thing happens whenever you have one come up. It pauses and then you lose the ability to advance. It was only a couple of photographs over.
Which one were you looking? Okay, let me go. Let me stop sharing again and then go back to it. I'll find it in
Boy, technology! This gives me this gives me the perfect opportunity to make a couple of to say a few things about technology on walk 3. Good God, it's been unbelievable. I have to go on the eve of walk 3. I have to go to Albany to the Apple store because Grayson's iPhone that we just purchased 6 months ago, there's a problem with it. It's not working at all, so I have to go swap it out. Hopefully we haven't lost 680 photos and videos that we've shot already, because one thing I do want to mention, Ginger, about walk 3. Yeah, okay, so it was the one to the right of the first one we looked at. Boy, if you could just, man, if wow, I guess you have these photos and that one right there. Yes.
Okay,
That's
that's the
perfect.
one that's up. You should be looking at that
Oh,
one.
there it is. Okay. All right. I see it. Okay. And then I saw Ginger, you also have up somewhere the one, I think it's at White House, Indiana, I think, where he's getting kissed by the cute girl,
Oh, yeah.
the cute
Yep.
girl with the pink. I think that's White House, Indiana. I think that's where that was Christmas time on walk one. So we'll bring that up in a minute. But kind of lost track. Oh, we're walk three is going to be amazing in the sense that we're using this as an opportunity to tell Hudson's story, and the two walks that he was on, and just the wonderful, beautiful spirit that he was. But we're filming everything on walk three. We've got a Hero 10 GoPro. We'll have, assuming we can get a new camera for Greg tomorrow, we'll have two iPhones, and so we'll be recording this walkthrough from so many different angles and telling Hudson's story. And the last 15 years that I've devoted my life's journey, battling cancer and our companion animals. So on that note, I guess, Ginger, freestyling this, let's talk about walk one. So we were talking about the training for walk one, and that was so fun. We were in Temple, Texas. I just lost Malcolm to metastatic cancer. It spread to his lungs, and so I left Boston for Texas and was there his final months, and then Malcolm was given rest, and then so just shortly after Malcolm passed, I was thinking, what am I going to do, Ginger? How am I going to share Malcolm's story to the biggest audience? Because I had not been working for some time. I didn't have any money at all, and I was living with my parents in Texas, but I knew I wanted to take Malcolm's story and broadcast it to the biggest audience. And so I had just come down from Boston at the time, and I intended on going back up. And so I had the vision of two dogs traveling, walking 2,000 miles for canine cancer education and awareness. And so that was walk one. Walk one became two dogs walking 2,000 miles. And so training with Hudson and Murphy really was quite wonderful. It was a unique experience, and I don't know how much video and footage we have from that in the archives, but Hudson was just so wonderful. I got to tell you, one of the coolest things about Hudson is he loved Murphy,
He
and
sure did.
he did. He did, and I don't think I really understood the depth of Hudson's love for Murphy Ginger until after Murphy passed. And I knew that they were bros. And going back to when I first got Hudson, so he was this wee little lad, and I had my Nissan Pathfinder at the time, and I was driving back to Temple, Texas, and he was riding shotgun. I had him I can't recall, but I had him secured. He was protected, and he wasn't scared at all. Just typical Hudson. He was curious, studying everything. But I got him home to Murphy, and I made the amateur mistake. I wasn't thinking of feeding them in the same room. And Murphy was all about food, and that was something that
Yes.
Murphy was the sweetest kid in the world, but when it came to food, you just didn't mess with him about that. And so I made the mistake of feeding Hudson and Murphy in the same room. And so as soon as Hudson Hudson, I have to tell you this, Hudson was a crazy passionate eater, just like Murphy, and Hudson just dove into his kibble. And I think as soon as Murphy saw that, he did not like that, and so he went over and scolded Hudson, and Hudson yelped so loud, and I was attending to something else. I left him alone, like the idiot pet parent I was back then, and still am to a certain extent. And Hudson was okay. He was just his feelings were hurt, and he was scared by the whole new experience, this whole new thing. Because when I got him from Waco, Ginger, he was in just a hog wire kennel. Not even a kennel, it was just a hog wire cage. It was almost like a cage that you would capture a raccoon in, and there were feces in it.
Oh, like a trap.
Like a trap. Yeah, it was just just a nightmare situation that I rescued
Poor
his
baby. Poor
sweet little
thing.
soul from. Yeah, but you never saw that his personality at all. At least I never saw it, or maybe that's
Oh
why.
no, because he always thought he was royalty, so
That's
he
right.
never saw that business.
That's right. He certainly had white dog privilege. That's for sure. Hudson owned the world. I have to. I'm going to jump all over the place, but I'm now calling it Hudson's River. So we're walking along Hudson's River because I don't know if you know this. When I was telling Hudson, when I was talking about the Hudson's River, that he was named after it. Funny story, because the woman who had blessed my life with Malcolm after she passed. This is how Hudson got his name. For those of you who don't know, so the woman who blessed my life, if you looked at it that way, or cursed my life with Malcolm. 20 years later, I'm still living homeless and living with dogs, but she blessed my life with Malcolm. And so after I lost him to cancer and I picked up Hudson, I didn't know what I was going to name him. I had no idea. This cute little baby boy. And so I realized, as an homage to Malcolm's mom, Malcolm's first mom. She had moved up to New York at the time. We'd remained friends. And so Hudson's name was actually named after the Hudson's River. So when I was telling Hudson this story, we sat down and had a father-son chat. Ginger, I'm sure you can envision that.
Yeah, I can visualize it. I have a visual.
Yeah, Hudson at my side. Now, Hudson, let's talk about how you got your name. So as soon as I told him the story, I was going to tell them the story about the great seafaring adventurer named Hudson. Is it Henry Hudson or Hank Hudson? I can't. H. Hudson is
Henry,
his name.
I believe.
I think that's right. I think it's right. And so he was an adventurer of some great notoriety. And so as soon as I was telling this wonderful tale, Hudson just put his paw on my knee, Ginger, and stopped. He said, "No, no, Papi, the Hudson River was named after me. It's my river." And so I couldn't even get like 2 minutes into the story, Ginger, and Hudson just kept peer-pawing me like this on my knee, interrupting my story. "No, Papi, no, Papi. The river's named after me." And so, and forever in my world, Hudson River is Hudson's River. So I'm calling it Hudson's River on social media now. Good God, I don't know.
It was Hudson's world, so obviously it was his river. Can you see the cute picture on my screen?
Of when he was a baby?
No, where the baby's kissing him.
No. I'm still frozen on the other picture. So there's, for some reason,
Okay.
for some reason it gets frozen to the picture that you
Okay.
have on there. You have to do it all over again.
Okay.
The crazy limitations of technology that I seem to be afflicted with on a daily basis.
Or my
Next walk I do, Ginger, I'm just going to throw all the technology away and just take a paper and a journal, pen and a journal, and just the boys, and just get on the road, because I'm going to have to spend 80% of my time charging technology, uploading content. It's unbelievable. But we do this because this story, Hudson's story, Malcolm's story, Murphy's story, all of our stories. Ginger, you've had how many dogs with cancer now?
I believe it's either 8 or 9.
Wow. This is all of our stories, guys. There it is. Look at that sweet little baby Hudson, my baby boy. He was the sweetest and the prettiest boy I ever did meet.
Well, I will, so he was definitely the prettiest boy. Sweet, as like my mom used to say, pretty as pretty does. Yes, he was sweet, but he had a stubborn streak in him, longer than you are tall. Trust me.
No, Hudson was a player. Hudson's sweetness.
He was a player.
Hudson's sweetness had a purpose to it. There was no Hudson wasn't sweet just because he was a sweethearted nature. He was angling for something. There was something he wanted from you, but the trade-off was always worth it, don't you think? Whatever you got, whatever you had to give Hudson, whatever he wanted, it was worth it. What you got back from was worth it.
Well, so Indiana, not changing the subject really, doesn't do the peer paw thing, but he sure does the head butting thing. I'm trying to look for other pictures, and he's like, whew.
Yeah, I know. I wish you maybe could put your screen down a little bit and get more of him. Grayson. Grayson's doing the same thing over here. He just he won't be still on my end. It's all about Gray. So Gray is total peer.
Okay, can you see him now?
There's my nanner butt. Look at that handsome boy. Look at my baby Fuzzybutt number 4. I miss him so much in the morning times because that's when I go downstairs because he sleeps downstairs and guards your room for some reason. He resource guards you for reasons I'll never understand. And so my morning is spent that time scratching him, rubbing him, and he that's our morning time. So every morning I've missed that. I've missed that. Why did you leave that picture up? It's okay, but it reminded me.
Oh, I couldn't. I didn't know whether you could actually get a good picture
Okay.
of Indiana.
It's all right. It's all right. We're just kind of working our way through this, though. I just wanted to talk about the first walk. Let's see. So Hudson and Murphy and I got on the road, and one of the funny stories, I think, it's really funny now, but it really was hard on the walk. Actually, thinking about the first walk, and thinking about walk 1, and now reflecting on that and comparing to walk 3. Maybe we're not doing so bad, all the problems and complications we've had so far, because when I left Walter E. Long Park, what was it, March? Never remember the date.
16th, you never remember that. I wasn't even part of it at that point.
No, but I had a ragtag team of a couple of people that were helping me out at the time, but I was pretty much on my own. But there's Hudson. That's Texarkana. That's one of the, we have that photo. Actually, I have an NFT up on our OpenSea account. We're gonna have an NFT of that picture auctioned off on at the final mile, November 12th, if and when Grayson and I ever make it in New York City for the final mile. Hopefully we'll get on the road.
We're planning it.
Well, yeah, but that's a great, that's one of the, I love that one. That actually came before obviously the White House, Indiana one.
Yeah.
So
I was out of, you mentioned it, so I put that up there, but yeah, we were kind of out of order.
That's all right. But I was telling a funny, Hudson. So just to talk about how problematic the first walk was. Well, first off, I took on way too much weight because I was so worried, because the people I had, they were just people I knew from a cancer support group. I barely knew, never met in person. And I just knew we were going to be on the road, and I wanted to have everything. So I took way too much weight. So we didn't make very many miles. And when we first stopped, we ended up taking a rest near a fire ant mound, unbeknownst to me at the time. So I saw Hudson dancing.
Of course you did.
Oh my gosh, I saw Hudson dancing around strangely, and I was like, Hudson, what are you doing, Hudson? Because I knew everyone was stressed out. It was weird. We were on the road. The tension was high. The stress was high. It was a new thing for all of us. And Hudson was just being weird. And I finally figured out he was covered, Ginger, with fire ants. And they were all on his belly biting him and so stinging him. That's right. They sting.
Hudsy.
I can't remember if fire ant, sting, or bite. Anyway, whatever they were doing, oh, it was just awful. So I got him, and I just grabbed him and got him way away from that. And I shook him down. And for the next 15, 20, but he had all these little whelps on his belly. So I had to call someone there in the Austin area. They had to bring some ointment out. Anyway, it was a tough couple of first days on walk 1, but we got through it. And Hudson and Murphy were just so wonderful in the first walk. They were were such a great team. This right here, the photo you're looking at right now, for those of you that are on our YouTube channel, fuzzybuttsstudios.com. This picture was taken outside of Texarkana, where we met a wonderful family. The Lawrences there, stay with them. Great family. You got to know Murphy. That the Shelby, their daughter, was famous for saying, "I want a Murphy." So that just brings up so many special memories about the first walk, and about how the brotherhood, Ginger, of the two of them developed over the 2,300 miles that we walked. And so I guess that kind of gets into the second thing. The next thing that I want to talk about is how hard it was when Murphy passed. So for those that you don't know, after we got to Boston on June 10th, is that the right date? No, it's not the right date, is it? June 10th.
No, that's not the right date.
2010.
Into Boston on June
16th.
19th.
19th. That's right, 19th. That's right.
Why is it that these should be like monumental dates for you? but you can't ever remember them.
Well, I have so many big,
Because
huge.
you have me to remember for you.
No, I don't really don't. I function much better without you, actually. Especially on the road.
That is good to know.
So yeah, just
Good information to know.
long as you get our supplies to us on time, and that's yeah. But yeah, whereas you just distracted me from what I was talking about. What were we talking about?
Everybody heard it here first. It gets along just fine without me.
Yep. Well, you're the
Just
one
send supplies.
Yeah. Well, you did this episode is not about you though, even though you like to think
That's
that
all about Hudsy.
it is all about Hudson. He was the saint of the first walk, but I forgot my point. Other than I was trying to get to the power of the brotherhood and the companionship that we built over the first walk. And then for those of you who don't know, after the first walk, within a few weeks, we got to Boston. That's where I was. That's where I left off. We got to Boston and on June 19th in 2010, and we had a wonderful final mile there from Back Bay Fens all the way to Boston Common. And then after that, Ginger, I headed down. I dropped off Murphy there in Memphis and headed to Colorado to work on the book for about the first walk and our travels and our adventures. And within a couple of weeks, as some of you know, that Murphy started bleeding out of his snout. And I took him to CSU, Colorado State University, and he was diagnosed with nasal adenocarcinoma. And unfortunately, and that was just a really tough year. As you know, we went through radiation twice. We did chemo, and it was just a very tough year, and it was very traumatic for Hudson. And I just wasn't. I was so focused on Murphy Ginger that I just wasn't paying attention to Hudson and how it affected Hudson because. You know, Ginger, one of the things that's so important, even though he was selfish and his beautiful Hudson way, he was a sensitive soul, right? He's very
sensitive.
Yeah, very sensitive to everything around him. And so
he was a diva.
Yeah, but he was more than that though. He was very emotionally sensitive and attuned to things. And so he took it very hard, Murphy's sickness, his illness, and the stress that I went through. And I was just so focused on Murphy and trying to give him the quality of life. First, try to stop the cancer, prevent a metastasis, and then after that, just give him a quality of life. And then he passed. He didn't even make it a year. He passed June 23rd in 2011, and then
he passed June 22nd.
22nd. That's right. Well, so much happened in that 1 week period, right? We had the final mile, and then we adopted Indiana, and then Murphy passed. So we had a lot going on, but I wanted to see the mistake I made, Ginger, on is I waited 6 months to get Hudson. So it was just me and Murphy for 6 months after Malcolm died, and that was really, really hard on Murphy, I think. He gained a lot of weight. He was depressed, as was I. It was just really tough on the two of us. And then one day, because I was in that, I'm sure you know this, or maybe you don't. I was like some pet parents. I'm like, I don't think I want to get another dog after I just lost Malcolm. I don't think I ever want to go through that ever again. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And so I had a really tough 6 months after I lost Malcolm. And then one day I just woke up and said, "You're an absolute moron. Murphy needs a brother. Go get Murphy a brother." And so I think when Murphy passed, I think what my thinking is that we need to go and focus on getting Hudson a brother. And so that's when I put everybody on in charge of like, let's adopt the Pyrenees. Let's get Hudson a brother. And we put all the wonderful shelters that we had met on Walk One kind of in charge with that task. And the wonderful folks up at Bowling Green, Kentucky, they were the winners, and they came up with Indiana, right? That was
exactly.
He was the winner.
Yeah. So it's Bowling Green that we have to aggravate about Indiana Jones.
I think of most days, but then there's the occasional day where I curse the folks at Bowling Green for bringing Indiana into my life. Speaking of, where is Nanner Bud? Is he down slipping?
Yeah, he's down for the count.
Yeah, he's 11. He's 11 now. And so that's why Indiana Jones is not up here with me and Grayson on Walk 3. There
Here's,
he
I
is.
don't know if you can see Lily.
Yeah, there's Lily. That's Ginger's puppy dog, Lily. Hey, Lily.
And
Lily's a
Indy, if I
sweet.
can get there we go.
Well, why don't you, Ginger? Why don't we take it before we jump into Indiana and Hudson? Why don't you talk about Hudson and Lily? Because Hudson was 1 year old when he walked into Memphis, where we met you. You were running the Humane Society there in Memphis, and
Yes.
Hudson met Lily for the first time. And Hudson and Lily was also one, right? Talk about the two of them.
Lily, Hudson, yeah, Lily was, no, she was just like 8 months old when they met. So I just remember that was I wrote down on notes, was the first time that I met Hudson was at the Humane Society.
That's right.
And you and Lori, who was helping you at the time, and Hudson and Murphy were, down the stairs, and then Lily and Pete and Buddy and I came down the stairs. And well, Lily was a puppy. She loved she loved all dogs. I was going to say she loved everybody, but if you put two-legged people on there, not so much. She still doesn't love me, and she'll be 15 next month, or in about a month. So yeah, Hudson and Lily, they loved each other. Hudson and Buddy were really big buds, especially talking about Murphy. But if you'll remember, that was a really hard time, but Buddy and Hudson became pretty close during that time.
Yeah, Hudson and Buddy, Budman. Budman, I'm not sure how many people would remember your Budman, but I try to talk about him a lot because he was this wonderful three-legged, actually 3.5-legged dog. This
Exactly. He
black
didn't.
lab mix from Louisiana, and he was all of the Cajun from Louisiana. And he had the Cajun, and I have part Cajun blood in me, so half my kinfolk come from Louisiana. And he was every bit the Cajun. And I love Budman, and the two of them, yeah, Hudson and Budman were thick as thieves, though. But they fought for your attention, though. They didn't like it whenever you picked one over the other.
No, they didn't. I was gonna remind you. Remember when I brought Buddy up to Colorado Springs when you were up there, and you had Hudson with you, and we were going someplace. I guess maybe Murph was in the hospital or something. I can't remember, but probably getting radiation or something. And we were in my Explorer, and so between the two front seats, you've got that space. And Buddy had my screen's quit sharing, and Buddy had his head up there, and Hudson put his, and then they started shouldering each other, pushing each other. You remember that, Luke? And then finally,
I do.
yeah, Buddy's like, I'm done with that, and he jumped in my lap. And the look on Hudson's face was, priceless, because it was like, I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring up my file folder of pictures of Hudson. That's what I'm doing. That's why
Okay,
that's the sharing off. Yeah, keep talking. I'm not as technically adept with Zoom as you are. You use it more than I do, and I have file folders of pictures here, and I'm trying to bring them up. Gregory, come here, baby. Interesting. I'll talk about Gregson real quick. Gregory has allergies, just like I think he has Hudson's allergies. He's just miserable up here. And let's see. I'm trying to. Okay, here's one right there. Does that share, Gregory? Nope, he's licking. Gregory, come here, buddy. All right, you come here, buddy.
It didn't.
Does that share? Is that sharing on the screen right there, Ginger? Or do you not see that?
It is not. You know what I did before when I brought the photo up? I clicked on it. I clicked on the photo.
Okay, here it is right here. This should bring it up.
Clicked.
Does that bring it up?
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. I don't see you though, or me. There we are. All right.
Yeah, and you should see us in a little bitty side thing.
Okay, I have some of these. We have hundreds of wonderful, cute Hudsy photos and videos from Walk One, and I just remember this one right here. This was Don and Andy in Maryland. They're a wonderful family, Sahara and Tabby, and we were staying down in their basement. I was up cooking for them breakfast for them one morning, and Hudson wanted to be up there, and that's the little cat door going down to the man cave downstairs. And
how did you get his head out of that? Because it just looks like it's stuck.
You know, Hudson always had his special way of getting himself into situations, but also extricating himself out of them. So he really was quite beautiful at that. But yeah, so Hudson, he made so many friends, met so many wonderful people on the travels, and loved every one of them except Pyrenees. I guess that was another thing I wanted to talk about. That Hudson absolutely
Well, he did not like English cream golden retrievers either.
anything that looked like a Great Pyrenees, Hudson didn't want anything to do with it except his brothers. And we never had have you ever heard about that? Any of the other dogs, since you ran a shelter and a rescue for a while? Have you ever met any other dogs that just don't? It's like, I like all dogs, because Hudson liked all the other dogs except his
He
breed.
didn't, yeah, he didn't like white dogs.
Well, no,
Big white dogs. The smaller ones were okay, but larger white dogs he did not like. I don't know why.
well, yeah, I think they maybe it felt like they took his shine away, maybe, but it
I
was
don't know.
it was
Maybe.
I remember there were a couple of golden retrievers that looked like Pyrenees, but my memory was as specifically was Pyrenees. He didn't want anything to do with them, even females too, which I found to be unusual. Although they were like Sophie up in New Hampshire, and of course Lori and Silas's. You know, he had many female peer friends along the way, but by and large, Hudson did not like his own breed. Um,
Yeah.
he was a quixotic dude, man. He was strange. He had his peccadillos. You know, I liken him, Ginger, that if you had to humanize Hudson, he would be kind of the poet and the artist at a coffee house wearing a beanie, smoking like clove cigarettes, talking about philosophy and art with like a whole group of women around or something. He was that kind of really cool hippie kind of, but almost like cultish though, right? Don't you think that Hudson could have had a cult?
Oh, he could have definitely had a cult.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not like a Charlie Manson cult, not like that, but just like the cult of Hudson. I'm not really sure what they would do other than just tell Hudson how cute he was every day. It's
Yeah.
probably
His cult would have consisted of young children,
yeah,
just fell in love with him. Everywhere I went with him, there were always kids wanted to be by him. We just showed the picture of the little girl kissing him. I've got several others of kids around him.
yeah, but he was so kissable though. He had very soft fur for Pyrenees, and he actually had another thing that you might find if you don't know interesting, but if you don't know about Hudson is he was smaller for a Pyrenees. He was I guess what was the maximum weight that you ever think he got? Was
85.
I was wondering if he ever got to 90. I don't think he ever
I
got
don't think
to
he
90.
ever did. He may have gotten to 87 when he was, off the road and still eating heavily.
Yeah. Yeah.
He never got up to 90. And if he did, that would have been not good on whoever was feeding him. He should have never been that heavy.
Well, God, just think about that, Ginger, though. But I mean, Hudson and I spent our entire life on the road. I mean, he truly is the Puppy Up Foundation's a mascot or founder, I guess, founding Fuzzybutts, if you have to think about it, because he was just 1 year old when we got on the road, and we still are in one sense. We're still on the road. We're not sedentary. We still travel for the foundation, and we haven't lived a sedentary life. We have our base camp in Memphis that is our base camp for us, but we travel a lot, so it's just like
I wouldn't say
his
Hudson quit traveling with you and quit going on those walks when he hit Oregon. No,
yeah, we'll get to walk two in a minute. We'll get to that the fun that was walk two, and how much fun it was to have him on walk two in a second. But he was. I mean, most of our life with him, my life with him was traveling, and he was a wonderful traveler. It's just he was the best mate in so many ways.
Oh, yes, he was a great traveler. You remember, and I'm jumping ahead, but remember in the van in the Murphy Mobile, it had the bench seat in the back, and that was his. He
That's
shared
right.
it with nobody.
That's what did I call
Nobody.
it? Hudson's
that was his
love seat, love sofa or something.
Hold on a second.
That's right. He would not allow. That's right. When
he wouldn't let me. No. He did not let me do that. Come here, Indy.
Oh, that's right. We were traveling.
He wouldn't let me sit with him.
That's right. We were traveling for a foundation event. I was driving, as I do most often, You were, I think, we're trying to get some rest in the back. So he was on his love seat, Hudson's love seat, and you tried to share it with him. He's like, no.
No, he was like, absolutely not. He would not move.
Oh my goodness gracious. But that's you had to love that about Hudson, though. He was all about,
Well,
but
yeah,
but
he did not compromise. He was not giving in. It was his. Mommy G could absolutely not share it with him. He gave me the stink eye when I sat back there. I mean, it was
no,
intense.
but no, well, he gave you the stink eye, but you have no. But it's how Hudson would handle it, though. Hudson would never tell you, no, you can't sit on my love seat with me. You can't. The way Hudson would do is like, no, Mommy G, I think you're probably more comfortable up in the chair up there. I don't think this is good for you or safe for you. So Hudson would always find a sweet way to tell you that no, that's not really what you wanted to do. And that's how he got you to do things.
That may be how you thought. No, he was like, okay, I'll let you have this little space right here, and I'll be a little cramped. And then just when I got in like comfortable in the postage stamp size of the seat that he gave me, then he decided to stretch out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And push me. Yeah, no, yeah.
I love Hudson.
He was not sharing.
How the weather here is dropping. It just got very cold in here in this trailer, and I can't turn on the heater in here, or else it will drown out the volume in this episode. So let's keep going. I didn't know how long we were going to go. I'm sure we could talk for hours sharing Hudson's story, because I want to get to walk 3 and the purpose of what we're walking, and more.
We're going to have to speed up then to get to walk 3.
Well, I know, but I did want to get to, before we get to walk 2, I did want to talk about Hudson Murphy passing, though, and the significance of that, because I was trying to make up for what happened. I think the error I made with Hudson and Murphy and waiting for 6 months. And so we got Indiana Jones, my sweet little baby from Bowling Green, Kentucky. And wow, it was probably less than a month after Murphy passed. And then we got back on the road, and my goal was to go be in a tent.
Labor Day weekend, I believe it was.
Yeah, so I guess a couple of months after that. But then we got on the road, and I was just gonna go be up in a tent in New England with me and Hudson in Indiana, and let the healing begin and build a family. And I gotta, boy, I just couldn't have screwed up anymore. I just could not have messed that up anymore. And I didn't understand it. And I'm laughing about it because it's funny now, but it really was heartbreaking, because that was absolutely the wrong thing to do. Hudson did not want a new brother. Hudson did not want a baby Indiana Jones, and he totally rejected him. And we were up in the tent up in Maine, and it was tough. They were not bonding at all. So everything I wanted to accomplish did not happen. And I think
we have that picture of when Indy was little. We just got him. Maybe had him a couple of days.
I don't have a lot of Indiana photos on my computer here.
But you remember the one where Indy was trying to play with Hudson, and then Hudson like bared his teeth at him, and we laughed because Hudson never bared his teeth.
Do you see that right there?
Huh?
Do you see that? Oh, do you see that photo?
No, all I see is Hudson's head stuck through the cat thing. So you have to take that. I think you have to sign out of screen sharing and then sign back in.
Yeah, that's so the same thing applies to my screen too. Okay. All right, so I'm bringing up this picture now. So they had a tough start, Hudson and Indiana, but they eventually became brothers. And though they were not brothers like Hudson and Murphy were at all, but they were good brothers, good mates, and there was good times together. But Hudson truly was Murphy's brother, and I still didn't understand the nature of the loyalty, or the depth of Hudson's loyalty to Murphy, until I got on walk 2. So Hudson in Indiana and I set off from the Canadian border on May 10th. Did I get that date right? 2014. 2014, on our way down to San Diego, the border of Mexico, a 1,700-mile, 7-month walk that in of itself was an adventure, because Hudson only made it 2 out of 3 of those states, if that, right?
I told you that day, when I kissed him goodbye, I'm like, no, he wants to go with mommy. And you're like, no, he wants to go with us. And yeah.
And I pretty much dragged his Fuzzybutt all down the state of Washington and all across the state of Oregon to California, and then he won. And I'm like, okay, clearly you don't want to be here with me in Indiana. And we had one of our volunteers, wonderful volunteers, pick him up and bring him back to Memphis. But God Almighty! But I didn't realize though. It's one of those things you don't realize you observe until after the event that puts it into context. But on walk 1, we had this system. It was so perfect. On our first walk, whenever we would stop and rest for water or snack or whatever, whenever I'd get back up, I would get up, then Murphy would get up, and then Hudson would get up. And then that was our order. Whenever I would stop, Murphy would stop, then Hudson would stop. And so everything I did, Murphy did, and then Hudson would follow. And so I had this assumption, I guess, this belief on walk 2, that's how it was kind of would be. It's like Papi would do something, then Hudson would do something, and Indiana would follow Hudson. That's not how it happened at all. Papi did something. Hudson's like, nah, not really going to do anything. And then Indiana's like, what do I do? Actually, Indiana would jump up and immediately do what I would do, and almost like go, Hudson, you just go do whatever you're going to do. The hell with you. I'm going to go hang out with Papi. And it became, let's just say it was a...
Well, and Hudson was just fine with it.
Walk 2. But there was also something else going on with walk 2. He was older, but he was in really good condition, but he had something going on with his pads that I don't think we ever figured out. That he just had...
I thought he had yeast infection in his pads, like Grayson did about a month ago or so.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know Hudson, and this will play into the mast cell cancer we talk about here in a bit, we get to in a bit, is that Hudson had lifelong allergies from, as long as you knew him. Allergies were a problem.
Yes.
And we through observation, experimentation, and working with a number of veterinarians, we figured out that his allergies were most primarily due to food allergies. And we figured out which are the primary triggers from the food. And so we were able to keep his allergies under control. However, he did suffer from environmental allergies considerably throughout his life. And so as a result, he had mast cell tumors. When was the first mast cell tumor, do we say? Probably when he was 4 or 5? Is that what we think?
Did he have any mast cell tumors removed prior to you going on walk 2 that you remember?
Gosh, I think so. Yeah, because
I think the first one he had was on his ear. Yeah, remember, I think that's the very first one he had was on his ear.
Yeah, and there's a reason why we're talking about this, everyone. This is very important. If you're a pet parent and you're thinking about cancer and cancer treatment, Hudson's story is very important, and we're going somewhere with this. But I think that
would have been in 14. He would have been 6 years old, right?
Yeah. I guess that would be. I guess that's
close. No. In 14, he would have been 8, right? He was born in 06, correct?
No, but I think anyway. There's no reason for us to get precise.
Anyway, but yeah, I think his first mast cell tumor was removed probably in 12 or 13.
Yeah.
2012.
All right. Well, I think that's close enough. I think when I thought about this before, he's a 10-year cancer survivor, and I think that's close enough. He passed away when he was 15, shortly after 15, and so it would be 5 or 6, I think, when he was when we pulled off his first mast cell tumor. But this is important, though, and the reason why I'm going over his medical history and his history of cancer at length here is because Hudson is a medical miracle if you think about it. He's a 10-year cancer survivor. So the first one we pulled off was when he was probably 4 or 5, maybe 6. And we pulled off, what would you say, maybe a dozen over his lifetime?
I think so, yes, because there were some surgeries that he had that we took more than one off.
Correct.
He had 2 different types of cancers.
Right. But the other one was just that one was the one tumor, though, right? And it was
Yeah, it was a
slow-
nerve sheath cancer, or
Right.
something slow growing or whatever.
Right.
So
Yeah, it was more of like an aberrant type of cancer that anyway never factored into anything ever again. It was not metastatic or something. So, but here's something. Here's a bit of his medical history that I want to share, and I think this is important for the pet parents out there listening to this. Is that the advanced diagnostics that we were able to do with Hudson that determined the mitotic growth of his cancer and helped us better classify the pathology of his tumors as a slow growing stage 2 mast cell tumor, if that stage 2 was very important to the decisions I made, the medical decisions I made on his behalf. So of all of those tumors, I think almost nearly all of those tumors, we did the additional diagnostics. We got the C kit and the all the additional diagnostics. And so as a consequence, I made the decision to only have the mast cell tumors removed surgically and not do any additional chemo. And that's significant because I'm the kind of pet parent. If you mention the cancer word to me, I'm thinking, let's just bring out all the big guns. Let's do everything that we can. Let's just hit it from every direction. And that's not always the best standard of care. That's not always the gold standard. And so think about it this way. Had we not done the additional diagnostics and being overcautious as a pet parent, Ginger, had the first or second tumor that popped up on Hudson, I think I would have done chemo. I think I would have removed them surgically and done chemo. So think about if I would have done chemo on at least 10 of those 12 tumors that he had over the course of his lifetime. Just think about what the damage that chemotherapy would have done and would have shortened his life. So the lesson here that's important for pet parents is the advanced diagnostics that they have, the C kit they have for mast cell tumors, that's old technology. We have much more advanced, much more sophisticated technology out there now. In fact, we did the podcast with one of them, Ginger, as well. So we need to tie that into this episode as well. Put that link up so that can better assess pathologically the types of cancer and the risks that you have associated with them, and more importantly, determine the antigens that you can target those types of cancers. So technology has changed substantially since Hudson has had mast cell tumors. But I certainly attribute the advancement of veterinary medicine for helping Hudson be a 10-year cancer survivor.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's I've never heard of a 10-year cancer survivor in a dog before. Have you?
I have not.
Yeah. Well, if he was still around, we'd give him a gold medal. God bless him.
All right. He got a lot of medals in his lifetime. He got lots of treats for being Hudson. And that's the thing about Hudson is he didn't have to do anything for his treats. He didn't have to sit. He didn't have to down. He didn't have to stay. He just got a treat just because he's Hudson.
I'm going to keep changing the pictures out here. It's so terribly dark in this trailer, but it's coming up at 11 p.m. here at night, the night before the night that I get on the walk. So I'm going to so continue talking, Ginger. I'm going to look for another photo.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Hudson was just Hudson. He was such a sweetheart. And, when he was younger, he really, really liked to snuggle. I remember one time, and I don't know how this happened, but I was going someplace and it was cold. You guys were still on walk 1 and you were in just outside of Nashville in Lebanon, Tennessee. And remember, he didn't have his little fleece jammies and it got so cold that night. I remember him snuggling up to me and he was just shaking. And I thought he would keep me warm, but no, 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 no. I was the one keeping him warm. I gave him like my sleeping bag. I had it more over him. And I'm going to say that the temperature, Luke, got down to in the 20s, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
He was he did not have a lot of body fat on him, and he got cold. I remember that we had I got the lavender jammies. I can't
Yeah.
recall who bought them for Hudson, but he had the lavender jammies
That was
on.
Lori, I think.
Yeah, he looks so cute with them on. But yeah, I remember him was so cold at night. It gets so cold in our tent, so I would spoon Murphy for like 30 minutes to warm Murphy and me up, and then I would turn over and I would spoon Hudson for like 30 minutes because he would be shivering and shaking, and turn over, then do that again. And it was just us spooning each other all night long. It was just so magical, the times and the nights that we had in our tent, Hudson and Murphy. But this picture right here, Ginger, I think you took this for one of the 4th of July
Yeah.
celebrations. And one of the things I loved about Hudson is he really loved you making him up, dressing him up.
He did. He was all for getting dressed up. You know, he wore the bunny ears. He put those glasses. He kept those glasses on. Um,
Yeah, I call this photo his Elton John because he's totally glammed out like Elton John.
yeah, and yeah, he was a good sport on me dressing him up. Now, Buddy, not so much, but Hudson, yeah, there were a couple of dogs. Murphy did it as well. I mean, remember we had those pictures with Murphy in that hat, and that was just on his head. I didn't have it like tied on or anything. He just kept it on his head. But yeah, that's what I've got some really cute pictures of Hudson, you know, as a cowboy, as an Easter bunny. I dressed him up as you know, for St. Patrick's Day. We have some great pictures of him by the I Love Memphis sign for Valentine's Day when he was handing me, and I put the Hollywood Feed big bag just over his nose, and he was giving me my Valentine's gift from Hollywood Feed.
He's very photogenic. He liked to be dressed up. And this is the I Heart Memphis that I did in pink, and he loved pink. Everything about Hudson was pink. So unfortunately, for those of you who know the story, that Hudson was a 10-year cancer survivor, but if you know anything about mast cell tumors, we were so very fortunate, and also I always had my hands on Hudson looking for the next lump and bump. I know Ginger, whenever Hudson was there with Ginger would do the same thing. So this is definitely another lesson for pet parents. If you have a dog that has a history of mast cell tumors, you always got to have your hands on them, because the earlier that you catch the tumor, the better the prognosis and the outcome, for sure, substantially. I mean, exponentially. Exactly. So we were able to do that with Hudson, catch them early. But in every case, Ginger, I've met so many pet parents that have lost dogs from mast cell tumors, and they always say, it was always just, it's just a slow growing tumor, no problem, until we got the one. They were all slow growing. They were all no problem until the one bad boy came along, and it was the mean, angry one. And unfortunately, that happened in Hudson in 2021. Early 2021, he had a rather, I think it was a rather large tumor on his tailbone, in his rear, his actual Fuzzybutt. He had a mast cell tumor on his Fuzzybutt, and we took it in to get operated, and actually had multiple ones. And it ended up being that the mast cell cancer had metastasized. It had gotten very aggressive, unbeknownst. And so, as you know, we tried to treat it with chemotherapy, but he had a bad reaction, and it did not work out, and we did not get the outcome that we'd hoped for. And Hudson passed very, very quickly, over a very short period of time. So he passed September 4th last year, and I'm trying not to just trying to stay focused. It's
Yeah.
hard for me, as you know, it's been tough for me. At least with Malcolm and Murphy, I had some time to spend with them and at least fight the cancer. With this, it happened so fast, so quick, and it was over so quick. And as you know, it's just been very tough from the past year. I have a lot of anger, in frustration with the sort of the mistakes that were made. And in part myself, when you make medical decisions on behalf of another, you're prone to make mistakes. You depend on other people, and it's just you have to make decisions so very fast, and mistakes can be made. And unfortunately, mistakes were made with Hudson, and the I've been angry ever since, and I got to tell you, that's why I want to get on one of the reasons why I want to get on the road for walk 3. Not only just because this is my time with Hudson, this is my time to heal, but also, I just have got to get to that intersection, that juncture, and confront my loss with Hudson, because I still have so many Hudson nights. It's tough for me to look at pictures. That's why I give you most of the pictures to do for the calendar and everything. He was just such a beautiful boy. But I love doing art for him, and that's one thing that we're doing here. This is one of the NFTs. We took the famous I Heart Hudson photograph from Memphis and put it through an AI filter. And so this one's open on it will be available on OpenSea as well. So I'm kind of struggling over here, Ginger. You're not really helping me out. Trying not to break down crying and stay
Well,
focused.
he has in this photograph, he has on his cancer fighting superhero bandana. And like you said, he always liked to dress up for things, but Hudson is his loss was felt definitely, in the house here, and everybody, everybody's asked about Hudsy and it's, you can't look in the house at places that I don't see him there, or, I'll find white hair stuffed someplace and I'm like, is this Hudson's? Because you can tell the hair is different, but
it's so hard for me to be up here with Grayson, and I haven't even bonded with Grayson because I got him as a foster, and somehow he convinced me that I was the best and only dad for him, and so I adopted him, and he tricked me a little bit with that whole deal. I got scammed with that, and so I ended up with Grayson, and so I can't help but be up here and think. And every time I'm with Grayson, it's like, yeah, but you're not Hudson, and so it's hard for me. It's hard for me.
It's hard. It has always been hard for me when I've lost one of my dogs, and then the love of the other dogs fill in, but it's not the one that you're missing, and it's not that you don't love Grayson as much as you did Hudson. The bond will come, but
I don't love a lot. I don't love often, and I don't love a lot. I've only loved a handful in my life, and when I lose it, it hurts bad, and it hurts a lot. And so I keep everything in my life at arm's length, and I always have. And it's not a good defense mechanism. It's what I've done with I've done that with Grayson, and I've kind of put him off and held him off. And so this walk is as much about me and my time with Hudson, but also bonding with Grayson. And we haven't had much time thus far, seeing as I've been trying to save walk 3 and put this whole thing together. But we're going to have at least almost 7 weeks of nights in our tent, snuggling, and we're certainly going to have a lot of cold nights in our tent. But so the most important thing I think I want to talk about, other than just how special and beautiful Hudson was, is the work that we're going to be doing as a part of walk 3, and certainly after walk 3, in memory of Hudson and the sweet, beautiful boy he was. And so I wanted to figure out what was the way I wanted to honor him. And Ginger, one of the things that we've done with the Puppy Up Foundation, we've done a pretty good job of funding some good research, some clinical trials. But, and that's great for pet parents to be able to have access to the gold standard treatment and diagnostics that are available out there. But as you know better than anyone, the cost of treatment, the cost of care is getting higher. It's getting more and more expensive. So Hudson was very fortunate. I've been very fortunate through you, the wonderful people that have been in Hudson's life, that Hudson got the best quality of care throughout his lifetime. It's by no quirk of fate that he was a 10-year cancer survivor. It's all the great medical care, all the wonderful people that were in his life, all the wonderful, beautiful puppies that were in his life. Just Hudson's world was so beautiful that I wanted to bring that into translate that into this initiative for Hudson's Hope. And I'm a little bit distracted here because I got Grayson doing the peer thing, pulling me over here on the left. Greg, I think he's getting tired and cranky. He's like, get off Zoom, Papi. It's time for me to sleep. But the work, it's so important for us to continue with Walk 3 so we can start Hudson's Hope. And I wanted to speak just a minute about that. So Hudson's Hope, what we're going to do is it's a new pillar for the Puppy Up Foundation. Our 4 pillars have been canine cancer, education, awareness, pet parent empowerment, and research. And now we're adding cancer care to that as the 5th pillar for the Puppy Up Foundation. And that's going to be done through the Hudson's Hope Fund. So Walk 3, we hope to raise, our goal is to raise $100,000 for Hudson's Hope through Walk 3. We're only going to have 7 weeks to do that, Ginger. So you got a lot of fundraising to do, but we're going to get on the road and we're going to get to New York City. We're going to get Hudson's Hope Fund up and running, and we're going to start treating cancer dogs, Ginger, because as you know, there are 6 million new cases of cancer in dogs alone every year, and that's a staggering number. And while we don't have the statistics on it, my guess is probably 80%, if not more, of those don't receive cancer care. Ginger, do you have any of those statistics? Do we know of those 6 million new cases? It can't possibly.
Don't. And I somebody might have them. I don't know how accurate that it would be because
10% would be 600,000 cases of treated every year. We need to find out what the VCA has. Cancer, yeah. Is it VCA, veterinary cancer? VCS. Yeah, we need to find out if they have the data. I'm interested in that data. What percentage of
that might be the data that they want us to help them with.
Well, we know one thing for sure. We should know exactly how many dogs are receiving cancer treatment or care out there. Well, we should have some of that data. We know what VCA now runs. VCA now runs 25% of the vet clinics out there. They're trying to aggregate all of their data so that we can mine it. But my guess is probably no more than 10, certainly no more than 20% of those 6 million dogs are being treated every year. So that means, and I include palliative treatment in that as well, Ginger. So that means we're talking basically 4 million dogs every year are not being treated with cancer. And that's just untenable. That's absolutely unacceptable. That some dogs don't even have access to the basic cancer care or treatment.
Oh yeah, no, they don't.
And if you asked the majority of the pet parents, I think we actually had who was the gentleman, the person we had on to talk about pet care insurance and cancer care. I can't remember it right now. Got so many things going on in your big dog's brain right now. But my guess is that if you ask pet parents, the number one reason for not pursuing cancer treatment is financial reasons. And if you think about that, Ginger, that's the worst possible excuse for not treating your loved one for cancer, is just not having the available funds. There's so many resources in this world that out there for us to be able to tap into to provide cancer care and cancer treatment for our canine companions. And it's interesting. We had this conversation recently with one of our guests on Fuzzybutts and Friends about what's the value of care and what's the value of quality of life in our canine companions. And they were talking about, well, if the standard of care, the gold standard of care treatment gives you one additional year of quality life with your dog, is that worth it? And I'm like, well, if you think about it, the average dog, let's say lives 8 to 9 years, if the average dog, maybe 10 years if you're lucky. Well, if you add an additional year onto that life, that's 10 to maybe 20% additional life, right? Who wouldn't spend whatever they have to get 10 to 20% quality of life? And that's what Hudson's Hope is all about. And it's going to be expensive, though. It will be expensive. The grants, Ginger, that we're going to be doing through Hudson's Hope are going to be up to $7,500. So if we raise 100, we reach our goal for $100,000 for Hudson's Hope on this Fund 1. This will be our first fund for Hudson's Hope. Then from that $100,000, we're hoping to treat between 12 to 15 dogs. So that's not a lot. Raising $100,000 to treat 12 to 15 dogs is not a lot.
You would think if $100,000 sounds like an awful lot of money, and it is actually to raise in 7 weeks. But when you're treating, when you say you're going to treat 10 to 15 dogs with cancer, that's a drop in the bucket.
Well, that's it. $7,500 is what our grants are up to. So up to, you don't have to request the entire $7,500, but times 10, that's $75,000 right there. So that's 10 patients. And as you know, I think every type of the only if you look at the 4 traditional cancer treatments that are out there, surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy. You now have immunotherapy out there, but that's not readily available yet. It's starting to come out, but not readily available out there. You look at those 3 treatment modalities, right? The only one that would probably not cost over $7,500 is surgery. But as you know, in some cases, brain surgery.
The surgery is for.
Yeah, some cases.
By the time.
Right.
By the time they have to do everything, the x-rays or the MRI or the CT scans or whatever to determine where they're going to do all the surgery and the ultrasound, and then they do the surgery, and then you have pre-op and post-op, you're at $4,000. I mean, somewhere between $2,500 and $4,000.
Yeah, and also this is an important point at this point in the conversation to mention that the Hudson's Hope Fund will also include diagnostics as well. So you will be able to get whatever type of diagnostics that you need. I'm changing the screen. Do you see that?
Yep.
That's my favorite one of shortly before he passed away. Get to that in a second, but so you'll be able to, whatever you need, screening, diagnostics, whatever you need to confirm the diagnosis of cancer and get the treatment that you need. We'll also hope to be partnering with insurance companies and some of the other care credit companies out there, because as you know, Ginger, in the instance of radiation, in some cases of chemotherapy, the cost of care can reach well over $7,500. So we're hoping with this first fund with Hudson's Hope is to just treat 12 to 15 patients. And then from that point, given its success, build upon that and start raising fund 2. But there's something else that I want to talk to you about briefly. And I think about resources, because I, more than anybody, think about the value of resources. We do live in a world of limited resources, right? Where do our resources go to? And I think about when people ask, well, we have cancer in humans. Why would the money go to treat cancer in dogs versus cancer in humans? And I can't answer that. But the only thing I can answer is that why is the money going to treat cancers in so many cases? Well, if you look at that and you break that down, is that 90% of our research dollars goes towards developing drugs to treat cancer, not towards understanding risk factors and prevention. It goes towards developing drugs. And so as a result of the consequence of that decision, I think the NIH is the one that 90% of their grants are all towards clinical trials and treatments, not prevention and studying risk factors. If you think about that, we're a very treatment-oriented society. And I think that's fine, right? If I get cancer, Ginger, I just want to know that there are treatments out there that are available and affordable that can maintain my quality of life as long as possible, right? That's what everybody wants. Right? So developing drugs and therapeutics are a very important part of the process. However, you can't allocate 90% of the resources towards that and not trying to figure out how to get cancer out of our society, out of our gene pool, because you can breed cancer out of certain breeds of dogs, but cancer is going to find its way back in the bloodline at some point. So if you think about that, we live in a society where all we're doing is we're treating cancer, and that gets very, very expensive. So the way our society is geared is we're a treatment, and these treatment dollars are the things that we have to raise. So we need more money that needs to be allocated towards prevention and understanding risk factors. But until and when we do, our society does that, we're just treating cancer cases, and so it's expensive. And Hudson's Hope Fund, we our goal, our aim is to raise as many funds, subsequent funds as we can to treat as many of our canine companions as possible, and give them the quality of care that Hudson had in his lifetime. I know that was lengthy and wordy. That was certainly not that's not the soundbite that's going in any of the marketing material, but it certainly is getting late here. And I I still have a lot of packing to do and preparations to make before walk 3 begins in a little over 24 hours, maybe 36 hours, I think. So that's about Hudson's Hope and about that. So you can go to hudsonshopefund.org to learn more about that, to follow walk 3, go to hudsonsriverwalk.org. Now, the dates, the map I have on there, our route should still be accurate. It's not changed. But because we're now doing a power wagon, and I wanted to bring up that image too, as well, so people could see that, that silly thing, how we're doing walk 3. Because we're now doing this, because I'm now pushing Grayson instead of him walking. That's,
I don't understand. Okay, so explain to me, because it is a power wagon. It is powered by a battery.
Yep.
And I understand that you have to guide it, but are you actually having to push it?
Yeah, can you see the picture right there?
Yeah.
You see the push handles in the back, the push handles, the handlebars?
Yes, but I guess I was confused, because when it said it was powered, like, let's say you have a self-propelled lawnmower. I mean, you have to tell it where it's going, but I don't push the lawnmower because it's already self-propelled. So I guess that's what I was thinking this was going to be.
It is. It's just motorized. It's got an accelerator, right? And you can forward and reverse it. And it's got a drive train, so it's the same thing as it's the same thing as a lawnmower. It's very similar. I have to say, I know a lot about a lot, but when it comes to mechanical things, that's when my knowledge base breaks down a lot. So I'm probably using terminology that's not entirely correct, but I know the thing is it's going to work.
Well, it sounded good.
Well, here's a picture of it, right? With the problem, it's all power driven. So by the time we get on the road, we're going to have 10 batteries. Because I think each battery only does 2 miles. So we need to make 10 to 12 miles a day. So that's going to be probably six to 7 batteries that we're going to be using up every day. So we'll have 10 batteries that we're carrying with us. And we'll also be carrying 2 portable powerhouses or power stations to charge those. So hopefully we'll have 20 or so miles that we can get, or 20 or 25 miles that we can get out of them.
And hey, on the 1st of December, we're going to have some batteries for sale.
Yes. Anyway, so this is the craziest thing I've ever done before, but for all the reasons that I said, starting the Hudson's Hope Fund and the memorializing Hudson, and the pain and the catharsis that I need personally is I can't wait to start walk 3 and get on the road. And it's odd that I've only walked before with the dog. I've never pushed a dog in something like this. But as you know, we're going up and down a lot of mountains. We're starting at Henderson Lake. We're making our way. I think we started maybe 1,500 feet above sea level, maybe 2,000. And we're making all the way down to sea level. So we're going downhill all the way, but we go up and down the mountains a lot. And so this looks like this is perfect, and it looks like this is not going to be a lot of work. But I road tested this for the first time this past weekend, and it does not have a lot of power to go up hills. So when you're looking at it right here, this is Grayson's Power Wagon. I still haven't given the thing a name yet, and we're leaving in 36 hours. Been that busy. But the thing about this is it looks great and lightweight, but I have to fit on this all of the batteries, the portable power stations, our gear, his gear and food. Now I will have my backpack, but the problem with this setup though is because I'm leaning forward in the handlebar position, I'm actually leaning, and my backpack, I can't carry too much weight or it's going to really strain my back.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I have to offload a lot of the weight onto the wagon itself. So what you'll see when you see
Grayson already weighs 80 pounds.
that's
So
80 pounds, 80 pounds. The cart, the power wagon weighs 140 pounds, let's say. So that's already 220 right there. Yeah, it's 220 right there. And we probably have another 60 or so pounds at least in gear. We have a tarp to protect it, the batteries and everything. Maybe even another. So we're at least probably 300, maybe 300 pounds, maybe a little over that. So the maximum weight, the maximum total weight capacity of that is 500 pounds. So we're underweight. That's the good news. But let me assure you, this thing goes slow. When you have it loaded up to 300 pounds and you're going up a mountain, this thing does not move
so
very
you
fast.
think that you're going to cover 10 to 12 miles a day. Are you saying that's going to take you 24 hours to do each?
I don't know. I don't know.
I have to go back to the whole power wagon thing, because I think that had you had this on walk 2, Hudson would have been fine.
Yeah,
you could just put Hudson, there's something about, the walk 3 is not necessarily how we had it envisioned it in any shape, form, or fashion. And at times I kind of thought, is this really the way that we're honoring Hudson? But somehow about the wagon, I think Hudson would not be happy that Grayson gets to ride in the wagon and Hudson had to walk.
Well, we had that in mind for Hudson for the I Heart Hudson tour. I was going to drive him around in a motorcycle or a trike and pull him on he in Indiana in a teardrop trailer. We were going to do the I Heart Hudson tour. Then a number of things happened. Then the pandemic hit, and we were back on it, starting to prepare it and get ready for the I Heart Hudson tour and his cancer. That's when we got the cancer diagnosis. His mast cell tumors were back with a vengeance, and it all came apart very, 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 very fast. So I was actually hoping to do a very abbreviated I Heart Hudson tour with him riding, not walking. And so, yeah, that's kind of the painful irony and tragedy that Grayson got to ride, not Hudson. He's riding with Gray in spirit, that's for sure. Actually, no, he's not. Hudson will not share the wagon with Gray.
No, Hudson is not riding with Grayson. And Hudson didn't even like Grayson because, of course, Grayson is a white Great Pyrenees, because I don't think Great Pyrenees come in.
Well, as you know, the two of them knew each other because Hudson would stay downstairs because he would no longer go upstairs with me. We're up in my flat whenever I'm in Memphis. That's where I reside, and so he just stopped going upstairs because only when I convinced him and asked him to come up and spend time with Papi. So he was downstairs, and so Grayson would be up there. So the two of them met. But yeah, I don't think Hudson ever liked Grayson. Never liked.
No, even probably 2 weeks before Hudson passed, he was, I remember he was laying in the living room on his throne, his bed, and Grayson came bounding into the dining room, and Hudson's getting off his bed going, and I just, I tried to give him some kind of respect, but I did have to laugh at him because here he is, he was 15 years old and he's going to take on Gray. So I'm like, okay, whatever, Hudson. But he decided, he didn't want to do that. But
he did get to the old man get off my lawn stage of his.
He did, he was Grandpa Cranky Pants too. So
yeah. But he earned the right though. God, I love that boy and miss him. But well, let's go ahead and wrap this up because it's almost 11:20, and I need to drop this and get this up and published, and then get on the road and begin walk 3. So everyone, if you want to follow our crazy, what's going to be crazy adventures for walk 3, go to hudsonsriverwalk.org. Find us. Actually, we have a blog there, but with everything going on, I haven't had a lot of a chance to update it. and I certainly have not updated the dates and the times where we're going to be at. So the plan is we're kind of in beta test mode, Ginger. So they're going to drop us off at Henderson Lake on Wednesday, and I hope Grayson and I are going to make it to Schuylerville in a week, maybe a couple of days. I'm not 100% convinced yet that we're going to make it to Schuylerville. So here's the plan. If Grayson and I make it to Schuylerville, you never know, might be a month and we're still not there and everybody wonders where the hell we are. But if Grayson and I make it to Schuylerville within probably 10 days or so, it should be less than that, then we're going to take a couple of days. We'll update everybody. We'll recalibrate the walking plan, and we'll update everyone where we're at and where we intend on being, so everyone can come out. If you want, you can come out and meet Grayson, the three-legged Pyrenees on the road. And Papi, if you want to meet Papi out there too. And you can bring, if you've lost a dog to cancer, we're going to have dog tags on there, dogs that have died from cancer. We've got a few of those. If you want to come out and just walk with us, the best way to find out where we're at and what's going on is follow Grayson on social media. Grayson is at Three-Legged Pyrenees, the number Three-Legged Pyrenees. That's on Twitter, Insta, and TikTok. I'm really not doing anything on Twitter right now with Grayson's account. I'm just tagging him. I hope to do that at some point. So you might want to follow me on social media. I'm 2Dogs 2,000 Miles on Twitter, Facebook, and Insta. So if you want the latest, most current updates on where we're at and what's going on with Walk 3, that's the best way to find it. We can go to puppyup.org or hudsonsriverwalk.org. Ginger, that's pretty much all I had that I wanted to go over, talk about Hudson and Walk 3 and the work that we'll be doing with Hudson's Hope. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think we covered everything. I mean, I could talk about Hudsy all night long, but I don't know that I think some people might not appreciate, 3 hours of me talking about Hudson. So he was a sweet boy, and we all miss him.
Yeah, well, everybody understands that everyone has a Hudson, right? Everybody has their Hudson, and that's sort of the whole thing about this, is that Hudson was my boy, and to a certain extent, he was yours whenever I loaned him to you for a little while and stuff. But everyone has.
He was mine.
Yeah.
When he pulled the backpack in Murphy.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the way you tell the story. But everyone has a Hudsy. I love that. Everyone has a Hudsy. That's really what Hudson's Hope is all about. We all have a Hudsy, and we all need a hope for a better future for all of them, and that includes the best cancer care available. So on that note, everyone, please go to hudsonshope.org, hudsonsriverwalk.org, follow Walk 3. We're going to have the final mile in New York City, November 12th. We're going to walk over the Brooklyn Bridge. We're going to meet up on the Manhattan side of the Brooklyn Bridge, walk over the bridge down to Pier 3, Brooklyn Bridge Park in Brooklyn. And we're going to have a big final mile celebration, and we're going to all be auctioning off some NFTs, because Ginger, there's also something else. I've got my little sketchbook and my pens and stuff. So I have my own personal goal is every night on the road is to doodle of some sort, do an NFT. Maybe I'll draw Grayson. Maybe I do a silly doodle with Grayson with like, an arrow through his head or something like that. Steve Martin gimmick or something. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get crazy out there.
I can't wait to see it.
Well, it's going to be very cold in the tent, so I'm not sure how much art I'm going to be making, because we're so far behind. I looked at the temperatures; it's going to be in the 30s. So
I packed. I sent Gray some jammies. So
I already have his lap. I think Grayson has. Does Grayson have Hudson's lavender jammies?
Grayson has
Murphy's. Okay, Hudson's would have been too small for Gray. Well, he has the lavender jammies. So all right. Everyone follow us. Thank you so much for listening and being a part of this very, very special episode of Fuzzybutts and Friends, the Hudson edition, the Walk 3 edition. And thank you for listening to this very special stories and memories that we have about Hudson. He was truly, here's my boy. And I know you know what I'm talking about. So I gotta get back to work and get some stuff done and then get on the road. Ginger, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to share some stories with Hudson. Everyone, So here on out, Fuzzybutts and Friends, we're going to try to keep it every Tuesday, but I'll be shooting it from the road. So we might have to do some rebroadcast episodes. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what's going to be going on for the next 7 weeks, but we will be dropping a new episode every Tuesday. Fuzzybuttsstudios.com. That's our YouTube channel, or you can find us at Spotify, iHeartRadio, Fuzzybutts and Friends. Thank you so much. Papi up. Talk soon.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.